Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, the U.S. Embassy hoists a pride flag. We've got reactions. How many Bahamians need to be vaccinated to achieve herd immunity? Plus, the DPM slams organized efforts to build shantytowns. Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the U.S. Embassy here in Nassau hoisted the pride flag for the first time today at its office just off Bay Street as the LGBTQI+ community observes Pride Month. One activist is calling it a step in the right direction for the country, as they would like to see it reflected one day in legislation. Kyle Joaquin reports.
The visibility for us, it gives us great joy to see that somebody is listening and somebody understands that the LGBTI citizens of the Bahamas deserve dignity and respect.
Human rights advocate for the LGBTQ community Alexis DeMarco applauding the U.S. Embassy in Nassau for taking the bold step and hoisting the pride flag outside its headquarters. It comes as around the world the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender, queer, and questioning community observes Pride Month. In a statement, the U.S. Embassy said, "The U.S. government and the U.S. Embassy reaffirmed the human rights and fundamental freedoms of LGBTQI+ persons. Our support for the LGBTQI+ community rests on a simple and fundamental belief that all human beings should be treated with respect and dignity and should be able to live without fear no matter who they are or who they love." DeMarco says this entire month the community will be celebrating with the U.S. Embassy.
They want to hear from us. They want to hear from the LGBTI citizens of the Bahamas. What are your needs? What are your concerns? So we will be inviting our community members to have this dialogue and discussion with the U.S. Embassy as they kick off their Pride Month.
And the pride flag will be outside the embassy the entire month. Its statement continued, "This is a worldwide effort by the Biden administration. Every U.S. mission has been invited to fly the pride flag or light up their embassies with rainbow colors this month in support of the LGBTQI+ community." DeMarco says it's important that more Bahamians understand the fight and the reason behind Pride Month and what the local community is trying to accomplish.
So what we would like to happen is we'd like to sensitize and continue to sensitize our fight to be included in our Constitution, to be included in our laws and policies where we have no discrimination against race, sex, gender. We want to add sexual orientation and gender identity to that there should be no discrimination. We have it in the Employment Act, and we'd like to see it in the Housing Act. We'd like to see it in the Health Act. We'd like to see it in legislation.
The local LGBTQ community has its own set of activities planned for October under this theme.
We are people just like you, creating a more humane Bahamas through visibility, inclusion, allyship, and advancing human rights for LGBTIQA+ people in the Bahamas.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
With vaccinations on the rise, the health minister is estimating just how many people will need to get the jab in order for the Bahamas to reach herd immunity. Bethany McDermott reports.
Health Minister Renwood Wells estimates that 120,000 Bahamians need to be vaccinated for the country to reach herd immunity. Half that number has already received the first shot of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine.
I would say if we can vaccinate probably about 120,000 of our population, we would be in good stead. That's my number. I'm not the health expert.
Wells said health officials took into account the fact that the country has already gotten past the first two waves of infections and over 11,000 Bahamians have been diagnosed with the virus.
I believe that given the fact that we've gone through the first and second wave of COVID, we would have had some 11,000 Bahamians who would have tested positive, in addition to those who have been vaccinated. And you have a large portion who would have been exposed to the virus, who was asymptomatic, who showed no signs, so they would have not been tested.
International health experts estimate that herd immunity can be achieved once 80% of a population is exposed to COVID-19 or vaccinated. The health minister's comments came minutes after he received his second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine at Bahamas Convention Center.
I am happy that I am now added to the number of Bahamians who've taken it upon themselves to be responsible in regards to just making sure that we're able to be vaccinated to reduce the likelihood of me being able to transmit the disease or even to catch COVID and be put in a very compromised position. The more of us who become vaccinated, the better it is for this country. It gives us the opportunity to open our society.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, days after a United Nations delegation visited several Abaco shantytowns, two cabinet ministers insist the UN cannot intervene in the government's ongoing demolition of shantytown structures. Jasmine Brown reports.
The challenge is this. Throughout this country, there is an organized effort, a really organized effort to build these shantytowns. This is not coincidental. It's highly organized. You can see by what happened when these children were put in the front of cameras on the weekend. These people are being coached and they're being taught how to evade the laws of the Bahamas.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works Desmond Bannister described the uphill battle he says the Miz administration continues to face as it seeks to rid the Bahamas of illegal communities. The government started demolition in the farm shantytown in Abaco in April.
Last week, we demolished 23 building structures in the farm. The week before that, we did 20. This week, we marked 22 for demolition. And we're going to keep consistently demolishing them until all are gone. And we're going to continue to move on to other areas.
Bannister's comments came 3 days after a UN delegation visited the farm and several other shantytowns on Abaco. During the farm visit, a dozen residents, including children, stood on the side of the road with placards that stated they had nowhere else to live. Minister Johnson condemned the decision by some shantytown residents to use their children to gain the attention of a UN delegation.
Where are the adults who wrote those placards? You know, who wrote them? They should come forward. But you take the children, and you put the children out front and you hide in the back. It's like throwing a stone and then a rock and then hiding.
The Abaco shantytown residents also wrote a letter to the UN asking the UN to intervene and stop what they termed senseless, heartless, and illegal action that is being driven by what they feel is xenophobia and discrimination.
Because we say this is how you build, this is how you move, this is how you immigrate or emigrate, this is how you get rid of your refuge. It doesn't mean that I hate you. Don't let people dumb down the discussion like that.
Both Bannister and Johnson insist the government will keep a close eye on those areas of concern and act when they need to. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Minister of Education Jeff Lloyd revealing today that while some students in quarantine will be able to sit national exams, others won't and will be forced to wait another year to take them.
We are going to provide a place for those students who will be given that opportunity to sit the exams. Of course, we are guided, as I indicated, by the health officials and the protocols that they have established. We want every child to have an opportunity to sit the exam. Now, there are those who do not qualify.
Students who are eligible to sit the exams will include those who have no symptoms, those who have not tested positive, or those who are living with somebody who has neither tested positive nor been exposed. Lloyd says dozens of candidates are in quarantine.
If you're not allowed to take it in this particular circumstance, you're not going to be able to take it any further than now, because then the integrity of the exam is compromised, and that we obviously cannot compromise the exam's integrity.
Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar says as visitor arrivals begin to take off, he's concerned that increasing COVID-19 numbers during the third wave could be a challenge.
I'm concerned by, the number of persons in hospital. It probably ticks up ever so slowly every week, and I think people are just tired of COVID. So people are getting very relaxed. They're tired of curfew. They're tired of having to, not congregate. But in order to be able to congregate, you have to vaccinate. And so that's why, I probably ad nauseum, people are tired of hearing about it, but if the economy is to rebound, people are to get employed, we have to vaccinate.
The Bahamas has recorded 11,849 cases and 230 COVID-related deaths. De Aguilar stressed the importance of getting vaccinated.
There is a direct correlation between the level of COVID in this country and the persons who are willing to come and visit. And that's why it's all of our problem. This is why we all have to collectively work on keeping the level of COVID down.
When asked if he's concerned about rising COVID cases that could affect direct flight services from the UK, the tourism minister remained optimistic.
The United Kingdom is a long way away. So we always have the barrier of distance to get over. And then obviously you have the requirements to quarantine when you return. And that is another impediment to travel. But I am of the view that there is a body of persons in the United Kingdom that just don't care about that. And they want to come on vacation to the Bahamas and to the Caribbean in general.
Well, mostly cloudy skies today, and it's finally looking and feeling like the wet season. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and welcome everybody on this wet Tuesday evening. We have some showers and thunderstorms on the outside. Current conditions, humid, cloudy skies, temperature in the mid to upper 70s, 78 degrees outside our studios. Winds out of the east at 6 knots light, but your feels like temperature still in the mid to upper 70s. On our satellite, widespread shower and thunderstorm activity across the northwest and central Bahamas. That activity will continue tonight as an upper level low spins, generating that activity through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, could unemployment assistance be extended past September? Plus, 1,400 Bahamar employees get the jab. Stay with us.
Odette Carey Russell, Director of Products at REV. We're accustomed, obviously, with using multiple devices in our home, but we're always, either downloading or streaming things. And when you're talking about fiber, you're actually talking about speeds that are 10 times your regular cable internet services. Say, for example, you're downloading a 2-hour HD movie. If you were to download a 2-hour HD movie on DSL, it would take you 60 minutes. If you were to do it on cable internet, it'll be about 12 minutes. But if you did it on fiber, it'll be 1.2 minutes. And so speed is definitely one of the big selling points when you're talking about fiber. We know power outages are pretty common. But if you have a power outage, the reality is if you have fiber, it's not susceptible to also being out as well. So the reliability in the sense of having fiber through a power outage, you would still have continued services as long as you have a generator that resides within your home. So those are some of the great benefits of fiber: reliability, speed, consistency. It's just robust.
Well, the government's unemployment assistance program could continue past September, according to Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell, responding to finance officials' announcement that the program will end in 3 months. Campbell insists the situation is fluid.
This situation has been fluid from the beginning, and so we would have set dates, and on arrival at those dates, we would have seen the necessity to review, and we did. So that is always a moving target based on the need if it continues to exist. As it relates to transitioning any additional services to the Ministry and Department of Social Services, one of the characteristics of living things is adaptation. We'll adapt, we'll overcome, and we'll continue to serve our clients.
Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson said those still unemployed by September will receive assistance from the Department of Social Services. However, PLP leader Philip Davis suggested September is too soon to stop the unemployment assistance program. Campbell says Davis should take the government's track record on the issue into account.
If Brave Davis and the PLP were paying attention, they would see what I said earlier. We've had dates that were set, and on arrival at those dates, we revisited, we reassessed, and we made some adjustments. If he was paying attention, he would know that our track record is such that we will adjust as is necessary.
Well, about 35% of Bahamar employees have received at least one dose of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, according to Senior Vice President Robert Sands, who says the number of workers who opted to get the jab is encouraging.
We think we're up to about 1,400 of about 4,000, so it's a work in progress.
Sands says over the last 2 to 3 weeks, the resort has seen an increase in fully vaccinated guests. He believes it's very promising.
We had a program in place for testing every guest on arrival. That testing requirement is only for persons who are not fully vaccinated. We are seeing upwards to 60-70% of our arriving guests are now fully vaccinated coming to this particular resort. So the message is that we certainly want to encourage Bahamians themselves to become fully vaccinated.
And And Commissioner of Police Paul Roll says he believes investigators have solved the murders of 6 men who were gunned down in April. He also addressed speculation that the police themselves were involved. Jared Higgs has more.
There were those who sought to blame the police. Okay? Nothing hate me more.
Appearing on a recent episode of Cop Talk, Commissioner Roll once again shot down suggestions that police were involved in that Jerome Avenue shooting that also injured a 2-year-old girl and a 19-year-old woman. The 6 men who were killed had recently been released from police custody. Roll says gang members use the police as a distraction.
You blame the police, so you take the scent off you.
Right.
So if you decide that you want to retaliate,
right,
everybody is believing and blaming the police. And so when you see other murders, in their mind, it is not linked to them.
Roll also announced an update in the case, saying police believe they know who's responsible for the killing. However, he says he has told investigators not to rush.
So I have the forensic people doing stuff. I have the tech people doing some stuff. And so we were able to put the pieces together with the movement of all of the individual players involved.
But here on Kemp Road, some residents say they feel targeted by the police who have increased their presence in the area since the incident.
Trying to make people treat people like criminals and things around here, and plenty people around here. It's good fellas, ain't like everybody around here is criminal.
Crofton Musgrove is a 21-year-old who does fishing and air conditioning work. He has lived in Kemp Road all his life, and he says the presence of officers is strong day and night. He doesn't think the increased presence always helps, though, and wants to remind the public that there is a lot of good in Kemp Road.
Kemp Road is a good place. Just everybody, if you got teachers, doctors, and lawyers come from here. So it ain't no difference, man. Kemp Road is a good place.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Still to come, a former beauty queen steps off the pageant stage and into politics. Plus, Jeff Rogers takes his camp beyond the Bahamas. The details when Our News returns.
Odette Carey Russell, Director of Products at REV. We're accustomed, obviously, with using multiple devices in our home, but we're always, either downloading or streaming things. And when you're talking about fiber, you're actually talking about speeds that are 10 times your regular cable internet services. Say, for example, you're downloading a 2-hour HD movie. If you were to download a 2-hour HD movie on DSL, it would take you 60 minutes. If you were to do it on cable internet, it'll be about 12 minutes. But if you did it on fiber, it'll be 1.2 minutes. And so speed is definitely one of the big selling points when you're talking about fiber. We know power outages are pretty common. But if you have a power outage, the reality is if you have fiber, it's not susceptible to also being out as well. So the reliability in the sense of having fiber through a power outage, you would still have continued services as long as you have a generator that resides within your home. So those are some of the great benefits of fiber: reliability, speed, consistency. It's just robust.
This is Our News. Welcome back. She made her mark in the pageant world. Now Pia Glover Roll is hoping to do the same in politics as the PLP candidate for Golden Gates. In this edition of Meet the Candidate, Kyle Joaquin gets to know the political newcomer.
Because I believe that as politicians, if we create better lives for our constituencies, it translates nationally.
Meet Pia Glover Roll, a wife, mother of 3, businesswoman, justice of the peace, certified labor advocate, and lover of creative arts. It's safe to say she wears many hats.
I provide scholarship opportunities, pathways to education for young people. So these are the things that I'm doing in my private life that can translate into politics.
After years of impacting the lives of others through pageantry, her modeling agency, and her numerous business ventures, she's stepping into frontline politics as the Progressive Liberal Party standard bearer in Golden Gate.
Politics, to me, is doing what I do on a greater platform, having an opportunity to serve more people, having an opportunity to affect legislation to make our country and our people better. My mom, my sister, eyes of love, going on.
This brings back memories?
It does. I remember this morning, actually. Believe it or not, as long ago as that was, I remember this morning. And, Yeah, I see my children. I see two of my daughters in particular in this picture.
She showed us around the house she grew up in and pictures that take her back to her childhood. For Pia, family is everything.
Family is big with you. Family is important.
Family is very important. Family is so cliche, but family is our foundation. And everything I do in life, not just politics, my mind goes back to my daughters.
Over the past few weeks and months, she's been going door to door, cleaning up areas in Golden Gates, and even offering free COVID-19 testing. She said for her, being an MP goes far beyond the halls of Parliament.
You sit back and you say, we should do this, or they should do that. Well, I want to be a part of the process that helps to, restore dignity, to advance opportunities for our people at that level. I've been doing it in my private life anyway.
With this edition of Meet the Candidate for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
And in sports tonight, Stephen Gardner good to go following his fall. Marcellus Hall has that and more.
All right, thanks a lot and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Well, just a couple of weeks ago, we saw this guy, Stephen Gardner, take a fall in his last race. And this was about 15 yards away from the finish line, sparking some concerns about whether or not he was injured and possibly in danger of not making it all the way to Tokyo. Well, good news. We've got word from his camp that he is just fine, progressing along very nicely, and is going to be more than ready to get back on the track to win the gold medal once Tokyo rolls around. Let's shift our attention now to some basketball, where the Jeff Rogers basketball camp is in the works for this summer. Founder Jeff Rogers saying not only will the camp take place here in New Providence, he's got plans to take it even further.
I've already committed, to do a camp the first week of August in Turks and Caicos. And I'm scheduled to go down there in a few weeks to launch it. The whole country's excited about it. I've already got a number of the NBA players and coaches and officials all excited to travel down to Turks and Caicos. I'm looking forward. I just spoke with Ms. Judith Ewan and along with Dr. Morris. They're the ones I'm working with to make this happen. So I'm excited about it.
And that's our check on sports for you here on this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still to come, unions demand Labor Day celebrations. The details after this.
Odette Carey Russell, Director of Products at REV. We're accustomed, obviously, with using multiple devices in our home, but we're always either downloading or streaming things. And when you're talking about fiber, you're actually talking about speeds that are 10 times your regular cable internet services. Say, for example, you're downloading a 2-hour HD movie. If you were to download a 2-hour HD movie on DSL, it would take you 60 minutes. If you were to do it on cable internet, it'll be about 12 minutes. But if you did it on fiber, it'll be 1.2 minutes. And so speed is definitely one of the big selling points when you're talking about fiber. We know power outages are pretty common. But if you have a power outage, the reality is if you have fiber, it's not susceptible to also being out as well. So the reliability in the sense of having fiber through a power outage, you would still have continued services as long as you have a generator that resides within your home. So those are some of the great benefits of fiber: reliability, speed, consistency. It's just robust.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education in conjunction with this channel.
The Ministry of Education seeks to ensure that every student enrolled in the public school system has a digital device to facilitate their learning. To date, 12,350 electronic devices have been allocated to students in kindergarten to grade 3. By the end of November 2020, 26,000 will be allocated for distribution to students in grades 4 through 6. If your child needs a device, please contact the school to arrange collection. A government-issued photo ID is required.
This public service announcement is brought to you by the Communications section of the Ministry of Education in conjunction with this channel.
Welcome back to our news. More rain and thunderstorms ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christina, and welcome again, everybody, for our second look at our weather. We have a wet pattern across the area, upper level low spinning across the northwest Bahamas, combining with a remnant frontal boundary that's hanging out in the open Atlantic. generating some showers and thunderstorms across the Bahamas. The southeast Bahamas seeing some isolated showers, but that pattern will remain with us for the next couple of days. Of course, June 1st today begins the official 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. We're asking you to get things ready for the upcoming season. Boating forecast for all areas tonight through tomorrow. East to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Caution flag for you boaters out there. Seas running 4 to 6 feet. Also a chance of some rip currents, so if you plan on doing any beaching, do exercise some caution. Low tide will be at 8:02 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. Once again, today's June 1st, beginning of the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season. Make sure you get prepared.
Thanks, Greg. Well, as the joint congresses of the Bahamas labor movement prepare to celebrate 60 years of Labor Day legislation, National Congress of Trade Unions President Bernard Evans says the JCBLM is still awaiting the green light from the competent authority to hold certain activities. Evans says it's not fair that political campaigning is allowed during the pandemic, but members of the labor movement have yet to receive any clarification on whether they will be allowed to have a motorcade to celebrate the Diamond Anniversary.
It is very unfair, but again, we're going to make an appeal again to the Prime Minister, to the competent authority, asking for our ability to at least have a motorcade. We promise that we will live up to those agreements under whatever stipulations. That means that 2, 3, 4 persons to a vehicle, no one is outside the vehicle.
Labor Day will be observed on Friday. In previous years, thousands of workers came together to march. However, celebrations were canceled last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The consistent discrimination, the consistent ill treatment, example with the hotel union, the decision about the motorcade, etc. These are all examples of this government's determination to marginalize workers.
Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.